The food in England, there's a lot of good food, but there's also a lot of very mediocre food. um, One of the classic meals that members loved making for us that were, originally from England is you go over and they'd have like their Sunday roast. And so it consists of usually having your meat, you have roasted parsnips, you have roasted potatoes as well as mashed potatoes. Usually you have carrots, peas, and specifically in Manchester, in the north of England, they have what's known as Yorkshire puddings. Now, Yorkshire puddings, it's kind of like a bread. It's almost like a small bowl that's like a fried bread, and they're really, really good. You usually put like a little bit of food in it or potatoes in it. And then English people love gravy, and so you're going to put gravy over absolutely everything, over the meat, over all your vegetables, over the Yorkshire pudding. They really, really love that. Some of the classic English desserts, you get things like a trifle. A trifle is where you have some kind of like bread substance at the bottom. It could be like a sponge cake. I've seen people do it like an angel food cake type of substance. And then there's usually like a layer of Jello, and then also like a layer of. And then, by the way, in England they don't call it Jello; they call it jelly. So if they talk about jelly, they're talking about the Jello. And then on top, they usually have kind of a creamy substance. Sometimes it's kind of like a yogurt type of substance, but it's more creamy. And trifles are really, really good. Another common thing that you'll see is if you have other desserts, a lot of times they'll put either custard or cream on top. The custard is kind of like almost like a vanilla-y flavor a little bit, but it's not. It's really good though. But they'll put it like on apple pie, or they'll put it on any kind of dessert you can think of. And then cream is really, really good on fruit and other types of foods. And so a lot of times after like a classic English meal, they'll bring out a dessert, and they'll pour the cream on top of it. Even if it's like a cake or if it's like a brownie type of dish, they'll a lot of times put cream on top of it. Now those are the English meals. Some of the other classic English meals are also fish and chips. Most corners will have like a fish and chip shop, and they'll wrap it up in the newspaper, and they have the chips, and they'll have gravy available for you if you want to put on the chips, or and chips of course are what we refer to here is almost like French fries. Or what they'll do is a lot of times they'll have like a curry sauce, so they'll actually pour curry sauce on top of the chips, or you can dip the chips into curry sauce. So that was a favorite of mine, is having with curry sauce instead of ketchup. So they'll get the big battered fish, and they'll pour a lot of salt on it and lots of vinegar on it, and it's awesome. If you find a good fish and chip shop, some are not as good as others, but most of them are awesome. Something else that's really common to a lot of the English communities is curry shops, and so the English people love curry food. I'd say curry, Indian food or curry is to England what Mexican food is to us. We have a lot of like Mexican type places, that we love to go and get that. It's kind of the same for England. It's a huge staple for them. They love going out to like the curry shops and getting curry. And a lot of people, have curry quite often. I know a lot of families that would have curry like once a week or once every 2 weeks. Whereas here in America, it's not as common for us to cook, as many curries. So there's lots of curries available, and you'll have plenty of opportunities to try that if you're serving in England. One of the other things I love about England is it has such a diverse culture. So you have people from all over the world. You have people from China, you have people from all over Africa, all over Europe. You don't get as many people that are from South America. But with this rich expanse and diversity of cultures, you also have the opportunity to try a lot of different types of food. And so some of the things, there are things that I loved that I got to try from a lot of cultures. If I met people from the Caribbean, they'd usually make rice and peas, which is rice with kidney beans. And they'd also make like a jerk chicken, which is really, really good, and fried plantain, which I'd strongly recommend. I also tried pig's feet from a friend who was from Zimbabwe. I wouldn't try that again. I tried chicken feet from some friends in China. I wouldn't try that again. Tried oxtail from some other friends in Africa. I've had whole fish, with a lot of friends from Africa, and you eat it with just your fingers, and a lot of times you'll have it like a fufu if they're from Nigeria, or you'll have it like a saza iwisi if they're from the south of Africa, such as Zimbabwe. And so a lot of like the African dishes specifically, you'll eat with your hands, and so you'll get like a little bit of this doughy substance, and get some of the rice or get some of the vegetables, and you'll eat it with your hands. You kind of got to get used to that a little bit. And kind of the same with a lot of the Caribbean food is you gotta eat it with your hands, with the chicken or other foods that you'll have. I had some awesome foods from all over the place, and if you're serving in England, give everything a try once. Don't, I definitely say don't discount anything, but give everything a shot.